Okay, awesome. All right, let me come back here. So to wrap up, this is the final part for the second week of class. Our final comeback, I think this is like part 4, I think, or is this part 5? I don't know, it's the final segment. But to go back into what I want to end on. Yeah. Okay, so you can see my you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so to wrap this up, everything that we've been talking about, user experience, right? So let me go back a few steps. User experience, and this is a definition to hold dear to your heart because you're going to be asked, like I said, when you go for your certification and when you're interviewing, you're going to, well, how would you define user experience? What is user experience to you? User experience is how a person, the user, feels about interacting with or experiencing a product. That's their experience, right? And when we say product, a product can be anything. It could be a service. It could be a feature that we're adding to an existing application or site. It could be a video game controller. It could be an application. It can be a smartwatch. It's just what is their experience as they use this product, service, or feature. The core focus, right? So when you are conducting an interview, you're going to either be interviewing the product owner, or sometimes you'll hear the word stakeholder, or you'll hear the word decision maker. Those words, those terms are used interchangeably. So when you hear those words in an interview, you hear stakeholder, you hear product owner, they all mean the same thing. When you're interviewing the product owner, the core focus is for you to understand the product and what service they want to offer. That's what it says. Every question and every answer, to keep it on point, needs to be about the product. You need to have a clear definition of the product or service that they are trying to offer and who they are targeting, right? If you get an answer like, well, I don't know, we're targeting everyone. No, you're not. So who do you want to target? I don't know, I want to target everyone. Okay, well, if you had to define your primary customers right now, who are you servicing the most? Is it primarily women? Is it primarily men? A certain demographic, a certain profession? What's their age? That's going to give you the answer that they may not know the answer to. And then you're going to see who their primary target audience is, even if they never paid attention to identify it. And if that's not who they're trying to target, then that's an opportunity for you to help them target and narrow down who they should be focusing on. But a lot of times, the people who are naturally coming to you, that's who you should be focusing on because that's who's resonating with your product or service. How to make the other set of questions that you're asking questions with the objective of trying to find out how to make the experience as easy and enjoyable and equitable for everyone. And then the other questions that you kind of ask yourself amongst your team and amongst the company that you're working for and the other developers, there's going to be a conversation about feasibility of the implementation. So for our example here, like with the 3D room, the 3D experience, and all the other advanced technical stuff we talked about, that opens up the opportunity to have a conversation with the developers to say, is this feasible? And then also to look at the time restraints that the business may have placed on the project. It could be feasible, but is it feasible within our budget and within the time constraints that we've been given, right? So as a UX designer, you live within these 3 focal points: the definition of the product or service, how to make the experience as easy, enjoyable, and the word equitable should be added in there for everyone, and the feasibility. That is your domain. That's your stomping ground. That's what you're always focused on. So characteristics of good user experience. So the purpose of today's class was to go through and look at different user experiences so that we can assess whether or not they checked off the checkpoints. A good design is usable. So when I say usable, think about everyone and all of their disabilities, right? Think about everyone. Is it equitable? Again, go back to diverse abilities and backgrounds. Is it enjoyable? This is going to require research. So the only way you're really going to know whether or not the experience is enjoyable is to actually watch a user go through the process of using the product, using a feature. And is it useful? Meaning that like once the product owner and the stakeholders, they communicate to you what their goals and objectives are, does the design assist in that goal and objective being met? And is it useful for the end user? When the end user comes, what are they trying to accomplish? Are they trying to sign up for a service? Are they trying to book a lawn care service? Are they trying to find out the prices? Are they trying to sign up for a gym? Are they trying to book a service for a personal trainer? Did the design help them achieve that goal? So those are yes or no questions, but that determines if your design is good, right? So is it usable? Is it equitable? Is it enjoyable? And is it useful? Those are the 4 key takeaways for that. Now, moving into this week and next week, we're going to start incorporating designs, which is why it's very imperative. We're not going to start incorporating tools until you finish the sketch. You got to finish the sketch and you got to finish the workflow. So please have your entire sketch and your entire workflow ready by next week. No exceptions. Because we only have 8 weeks and we really don't have time to fall behind. So the most common design tools, we got Sketch, Freehand, Zeppelin. So these design tools are tools that are out there available for UX designers. They work well with very large teams that may struggle to adopt new tools. These tools pair very commonly with other tools. They don't require Wi-Fi. You can use them offline to design and prototype. So like if you don't have an internet connection, you can still use these tools. But they do not afford real-time collaboration prototyping. Real-time is kind of like when you do a screen share in tools like Figma and you both can sketch and design at the same time working with each other. Sketch, Freehand, and Zeppelin don't necessarily offer that, but they offer the other benefits. And we're going to dig deep into these next week, which is why you got to hire sketches done. Adobe XD is another common UX design tool that you'll use to create wireframes and prototypes. Adobe XD works well with teams that already use Adobe Suite. So depending on the company that you're hired into, they may actually use XD, Adobe XD. It rounds out Adobe's suite of products with one that is entirely built for digital and UX design work. Adobe has a lot of cool stuff. Adobe has Premiere that everyone uses for, it's the industry standard for video editing. Adobe offers Photoshop, which is the industry standard for Photoshop editing, like photo editing. And then Adobe XD is a Adobe product for UX designers. So if you exist in that entire creative space, it's kind of a nice add if you're an Adobe person. It syncs to cloud rather than using actual real-time collaboration. It can be used offline. When we use Adobe XD at work, typically the UX designer would go in and he would design mocks. And then after he designed the mocks, he would put them on the cloud. If I was working on that design, he would tag me and then I can go into the cloud and I can see whatever he mocked up and he would leave me different comments and I could leave him comments. That's what they mean in terms of real-time collaboration. So it's delayed. It's not us the way that we're doing here where we're screen sharing and in real time I can see everything you're typing on a document and we can type on a document at the same time. That's real-time collaboration. But if I save it and I have to push it and then you can access it later and we can't edit it at the same time, that's not real-time collaboration. And that's what they mean by that. Do you have any questions so far?
No. Oh, so with the list that you just gave us, is that going to be on the shared file? Like, do we need to download this or no?
No, I'm giving you a preview of what we're going to do next week, and I'm giving you a preview of the different tools. You can explore these tools and look at them, but your sketches aren't done. You guys need to finish your sketches because once you finish, and I would encourage you to hand sketch it out just so that it can move faster because you got a lot of workflows. You have to sketch through, you have to do the workflow for every single path that the user is taking on the site.
Oh, I see. Okay. So like
Hmm.
the amenities and then that it gotta be a sketch for each everything.
Yeah, there has to be you have to sketch out the entire workflow for the entire user experience for each path that the user could possibly take. Figma is so, I love Figma, and a lot of people love Figma. Adobe just went through a process of trying to buy Figma, but I think it fell through. But Figma came on the scene and just obliterated everyone. Once we use it, you'll see like their user interface is so awesome. In terms of it being user friendly, they nailed everything when it comes to accessibility. They nailed everything when it comes to it being an enjoyable app to use. They nail it's fun, the color palette, everything about it is awesome. And you guys will see that once you download it next week. But Figma is excellent for most designers and contexts. It includes Figma Jam access, which is, you'll see what that is. But Figma Jam is cool. So it allows you to collaborate with other UX designers. So like when you guys are working collectively on a project, which is what we're going to start doing, and we're brainstorming and we're all drawing at the same time, they have like background music where you can kind of create a vibe like you're in a club, or it's just it's fun. It's a whole bunch of fun. They went above and beyond what's typical. Um, Whiteboard for brainstorming, diagramming, strategizing. It does require everyone has to be online because, like we're connecting with each other in real time. Um, it's a digital first, remote friendly, all-in-one tool. It allows for easy sharing, designing, collaboration. And for this course, we are definitely using Figma. Figma is like the new industry standard. Everyone's moving over towards Figma, and it's just, we're using Figma for this course. Things to consider, like when you're choosing a tool on your own, you want to consider, does the tool allow for mobile and responsive design? As you guys design stuff, you really should be designing mobile first. So you should be designing for how is this going to look on a phone, and then design for how it's going to look on a laptop. Right now in 2024, design is mobile first. Unless you are in a unique situation where you work for a company and there's a lot of in-house apps being used, meaning that the end user is not the public, not the marketing facing side, but the end user is like the internal employees or the internal agents. Say, for example, with like say if you were designing a user interface for EMS for 911, that's not a mobile first design. Like you guys, you're not sitting in the call center on your phone taking calls and patching through. You're sitting in a design center in front of a computer, in front of a laptop. So in that unique situation, you're not going to be designing user first, I mean mobile first. You're designing desktop first. But every other scenario, not every other, but most scenarios are mobile first. So as you guys go through these workflows, design it based on how it's going to look on your phone or on a user's phone. Another thing you want to consider is, does the tool allow you to prototype? Prototyping is before you get to the phase of making it really pretty. You want to be able to click through the design so that you can catch any hiccups, kind of like we were doing. You guys know how we were going through the site and we were trying to book a service. And then, you see how we were clicking around to get through? You want to be able to do that with a prototype. So as you come up, after you finish your workflow, the next phase is for you guys to prototype. And when you prototype, we want to be able to click through the workflow to identify any hiccups so that we can rearrange and rework stuff. So you don't want to add all the bells and whistles and all the pretty colors and you don't have the workflow together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Another thing to consider when you're choosing a tool, like if you're going to use Adobe XD, or are you going to use Figma, or are you going to use Freehand, or are you going to use Miro, blah, blah, blah. You want to know, does it allow for team collaboration? This is not going to, for your independent projects and for the things that you're doing, independently, these are things you're going to consider. When you are hired into a corporate environment, they've already made this decision, but it's still good to know. Does the tool allow for team collaboration? And does it allow for a centralized design team? For example, you likely won't be the only designer on the project. With multiple team members and collaborators, consistency is the key. Does the tool allow the team to view and or copy styles and properties to ensure consistency across the project? So that's just like some stuff to think about. The product development lifecycle. This is a question that you're going to be asked for sure when you take your certification exam. And this is a question that for sure is going to come up more than likely in all of your interviews. They're going to ask you, so are you familiar with the product development lifecycle? Or you may hear the question posed as, what's your familiarity with the product development lifecycle? Or you may hear the question posed as, how would you define the product development lifecycle? Or can you list the product development lifecycle? It's 5 steps. The first step is you brainstorm. That's where we are right now. So brainstorm is active discovery of problems and solutions. Research plays a huge role in this. So for you, Janella, you have a unique opportunity where you can recruit 1 or 2 people and you could say like pick a friend or 2, right? And then you can have your laptop with you and you just sit back and you have 3 different things listed for your client. So you may say, okay, book a service for this client. That's all you say. And you sit back and you watch whoever you chose go through the process of trying to book a lawn care service. Second thing you can do is you can say, tell me how much it costs for weed removal. Mm-hmm. Sit back, watch them, and you're taking notes. You want to take notes of pain points, where they got stuck and what they're going to ask you questions you're not allowed to help. You can't give any assistance. You just tell them what to do and you sit back and watch. You want to do that this week. So recruit at least like 2 or 3 people and have them complete the task of booking a service, have them complete the task of requesting a quote, have them completing the task of finding out the price of a service, right? Write down those 3 things. And like I said, as a UX designer, conduct that research and just sit back and observe them go through your client site. For you, Angela, your situation is different because your client doesn't have an existing site. So your stuff is going to be hypothetical, but you still can brainstorm, if someone were to come to the site and, book a embody assessment or book a personal training session, what experience would be pleasant for them? What can I offer on the site? What call to action should be there? Okay. What workflow should be there, right? Mm-hmm. That's the first step. So first step is brainstorm. The second stage is to define. Stage 2 is define. Define means to narrow the focus. Narrow it down. Who are we designing for? You got to narrow that down. To help them achieve what? What features need to be present for a successful user experience? Clear statements to outline goals. So these questions need to be clearly defined. Phase 2 is define. Stage 3 is to design. So after you come up with the brainstorm, you are which is what you guys did last week. Last week you guys were supposed to complete stages 1 and 2. This week, we're moving deep into design. Stage 3 is design. So use the insight from the first 2 phases, right? Which is where we storyboard and we sketch and we wireframe to actually start designing. Designing is when we get to add the colors and we get to start adding like well, I wouldn't say we get to start adding like the prototype where we can click through and kind of just sit back and assess the design that we came up with, we're going to test our prototype. So you're going to have end users, you're going to have test subjects go through your prototype, and you're going to have different tasks for them to achieve. And you're just going to sit back and watch and see if they can click through that prototype that we are going to create in Figma. The next thing we do is we test. So identify areas to refine and include. A lot of collaboration with the development team. So when we move into testing, it's like the developers are now starting to test this thing after you've kind of have a proof of concept. And before it's almost, this is like where we're really, really kind of close. You know how when you build a house and the homeowners come and they do a walkthrough and they may identify, oh, you know, the shower head is loose, or hey, you didn't screw this in, or I noticed that this floorboard is squeaky. The house is pretty much built, but you still kind of walk through and you do a walkthrough test. So stage 4 is you're going to test what's been built. And that test is going to go back and forth until everything is good, right? And that's kind of like a final walkthrough. You may pull through some more, pull in some more test subjects to walk through the workflow to just make sure that the user experience is pleasant. You may get some more feedback. And after you finish testing, the final step is to launch, is to release the site, to release the feature, to release the app so that the whole world can experience it. Now, after you launch, the testing does not stop, because remember, your test group was small. Maybe your test group was 3 to 10 people, right? That test group may not have covered every pain point that the larger masses may come across. There still may be some oversights, and that's job security for you. So even after you launch, this process does not stop, because after you launch, you should have some type of metrics in place, which is what we talked about earlier today when we said, how do we test whether or not our design is successful? After you launch it in the world for real, you want to look at the Google Analytics. How many people landed on the success page? You see, like how many people actually landed on that congratulations, you booked a session page? How many people, you know, entered the promo code, all of that stuff. So once it goes live, you're going to assess your testing metrics. And the testing metrics will give you continued feedback on what you may need to improve. And then you start the cycle all the way over again. So let's say we launch, everything is good. And then let's just say you get a response from your client and your client says, oh my God, this is awesome. People are coming in and they're booking the personal training services, but they're having an issue with accessing their meal plan, right? You back at stage 1. Okay. So stage 1, you're going to have somebody come into that app and they're going to try to access their meal plan. And all you're going to do is sit back and watch them try to access the meal plan. And then you're going to take notes on what are their pain points. After you take those notes, you're going to move to stage 2, define. You're going to narrow that focus. Okay, we're helping people who have already signed up for the service access their meal plan. You're going to look at what's already there and think about how you can possibly tweak it, make some tweaks to the design based on the pain points you observe. And you're going to test it, launch it, and see what happens. And that process just keeps recycling over and over again. But these steps, definitely commit them to memory. Stage 1, brainstorm. Stage 2, define. Stage 3, design. Stage 4, test. Stage 5, launch. That is all you. You have to know those in order. Any questions about that?
No.
No, but can we see that previous slide again really quick?
This one?
Yes. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's all I needed. Thank you.
So
Yeah,
this is, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I guess I'll just wait.
No, I can listen.
I was gonna ask, so is this gonna be part of our homework?
No, I'm walking. So yes and no. Like this is, so last week, stage 1 was your homework. You already did that. Were you supposed to do that last week?
Right.
And last week, stage 2 was your homework. This is just what I'm just letting you know that as a UX designer, these are the 4 stages of the product development lifecycle. And this is what these are the, I'm sorry, 5. These are the 5 stages that we're stepping through in this course. So in this course, this is what you're learning. You're learning stage 1, which is brainstorming. You're learning stage 2, which is defining. You're learning stage 3, and you're learning it and you're doing it as you're learning it. So yes, it's always your homework
Oh, okay.
because we're always like going through this cycle. Like this is what the curriculum is for this course.
Okay. I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
So rewind back a while ago when you were showing us, when you were looking at the website and seeing if something was illegal or not, for like the colors and the context
Oh,
and things like
mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to learn how to do that as well so we can QC ourselves?
Yep, absolutely. So the phases, so the brainstorming, right? Right now we're in the phase of you guys identifying that's why I had you guys adopt a real user so it can be real. So
Okay.
right now you're sitting down and you're going through this interviewing process of what's the product, what are you trying to offer, and who are you targeting? That's the first step. Then you got to help them narrow it down. Like, okay, so yours needs to be narrowed down. You need an age. You need to create that profile, that persona. Your persona is not created. Janella's persona is created. It can be a little bit more detailed. You define the age, you define the sex. You need to define their behaviors, right? Angela, yours is not defined at all. You got to narrow that down. You have to define that. Because once you know what the product is and who they're targeting, you can't design anything. You don't know who you're designing for. So now we're in the phase of we're starting to step into the design where we're going through the workflows and all of that. Design is a lot. Design is workflow, design is sketching, design is prototyping, wireframe. That's all of that is encompassed. And design is also checking to make sure your colors and stuff pass. That's part of part 3. So yes, what you saw me do, that's part of the design phase. But before you get to the colors and stuff, you gotta actually have a workflow.
Okay. And then when we do, so once we get through like all the phases, right?
Mm-hmm.
The class is over.
Mm-hmm.
However, how do we launch it if we're only UX designers?
So your final product is a fully working prototype. Your final product as a UX designer is a final mock and a high fidelity mock, and your final product is the reports that I'm having you create for your homework assignments.
Okay.
So at the end of this class, you should have 3 reports, which is what you started working on last week. And in addition to having 3 reports, you should have 3 portfolios. Janella, because your person you need to take before photos. So you need to go through each page of their website and do a screenshot, and I'll show you how to do that so that you have this is what it looked like before, and this is what I recommended they do.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Angela, for your next person out, you may choose somebody who already has a site and you may fix it, offer a fix. Your first project is going to be they didn't have anything and this is what I designed and proposed. So your portfolio as a UX designer is going to be prototypes, high fidelity mocks, wireframes, and your research. When someone's interviewing you and they go online and look at your portfolio, that's what they're going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at your research documentation. They're going to look at your Figma files, and they're going to look at your mocks and your prototypes, your wireframes, and your high fidelity mocks. And you will have an online portfolio that highlights all of your projects at the end of class.
Okay, and then how do we access this again? Like the live stream if you wanted to come back and watch something.
I always put the link on the homework assignment. So if the link will be there.
Okay.
And you just click on it. These are excellent questions. Yeah, so I talked about all of that stuff. I talked through it. Yeah, and that's actually it. So let's talk about homework real fast. Oh, no. No, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. Can you guys still see me,
Yes.
hear me, and all that stuff? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so here is the homework assignment. I really okay, let me see. Where's and I already shared this guy. I shared this with you guys on break. Let me share the screen. Oh, I'm just making good time. I should be able to get through this at 5 o'clock. So share the screen. All right, can you guys see the screen again?
Yes.
Okay, so here's your homework assignment. The homework assignment is you guys are going to create entire workflows for your client's product using the correct symbols. Let me go over symbols real quick. That's your, and you're gonna, this is the guide. So click on this, you can see the symbols. We're gonna talk about it real fast for the end of class, and it's a video for you to watch. When you're creating this workflow, be mindful of what we talked about today when we were talking about implementing strong CTA, strong call to actions. And then keep in mind the one-click rule. 2 clicks at the most, but try to master that 1 click where somebody clicks on something one time and they end up where they expect it to end up. And then the second thing for you to do is, based on everything you learned this week, you guys are going to revisit those 25 questions and tighten them up, add more clarity. Because now that we've talked through them, you know what the answers to those questions are supposed to be. Now you have more clarity on which questions the onus is on you to answer them, which questions the onus is on the product owner to answer, which questions the product owner may not know, but you just got to answer it for them. And then, but talking to the product owner, I feel like now you guys are empowered to help them narrow their focus and give you the answers you need. So very clearly, you got to keep them on point. What service are you offering? This should be 1-word answers, right? If it starts turning into a whole soliloquy, it's too much. What services do you offer? So you should, the answer should be mowing, lawn care, if they're giving you an answer that's more than 2 words, it's bring it back. What services do you offer?
Right.
Lawn care, weed care, snow removal. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you trying to target? Women, age 49. Simple.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Um, after you do that, then you kind of go through. But so two things. You're going to create the entire workflow for all of the paths, and you're going to go back to those 25 questions and provide clarity on all the questions that are not clear the way they should be. And everything should be user focused. The answers to all those questions need to be user focused. Really, really fast. This is the link. This is where this link is taking you. Keep losing myself. I think it's this one. Yes. So you guys are going to read this week. But here's the thing. This is how your diagram looks. So there are certain symbols, and the symbols mean certain things. An oval means it's a starting point. So anytime you see an oval on a diagram, that means that's the entry point for the user. Okay. Anytime you see a rectangle, rectangles specifically mean that they're doing something, right? They're clicking on something. Anytime you see a parallelogram, that means that it's a result of a decision. And anytime you see a diamond, that means that the person is making a decision. So let me make this make sense. When we were talking about the user wanting to book a service for lawn care, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your oval, inside of your oval, it would say arrives on site, because that's the entry point, right?
Okay.
That's the starting point. And then the arrow will say after they enter the site, the next thing they're going to do is they're going to let's say they're going to read about the services that we offer, right? So that would be a rectangle because that's a process or an action, or they're going to click on services. When they click on services, let's say the next thing they're going to do is they're going to make a decision, and a decision is going to say, would you like a quote? Decisions, if the answer is yes or no, like if you're asking the user a question, you use a diamond. So you're like, would you like a quote? If they say yes, this is the output. If they say no, you may have a direction going down here, and that's the other option. So this may be the yes direction, this may be the no direction. And then depending on what decision they make, what's the final destination? So you need workflows. So for example, you need workflows for booking a service. You need workflows for creating a quote. You need workflows for looking at a testimonial. You need workflows for asking a question. You need a workflow for contact. Every page that exists, you have to create a workflow diagram for it. You need a workflow for looking at the schedule. You need a workflow for looking at available times. Some of these workflows are going to be easy. Like it's going to be they arrive on the schedule page and the square is going to be they see the schedule and that's the end of the workflow. You see what I'm saying? But so depending on the page and the actions, it's going to be different. See, here's an example. So look, they land on the home page, right? You see that entry point? Can you guys see it?
Mhm.
So the entry point is they landed on the home page. They view the images. That's the square. I'm sorry, they view the product. They view the images. They may read the comments. Then they come down here, they add to basket. That's a decision, right? So when they add to the basket, they have a decision. They can either exit the shop. So like if they were buying something, they could either exit or they can view their cart. So this is a decision point right here. They have a choice. If they exit, that means they left, right? And nothing else happens. If they want to view their cart, then from view the cart, they can go to checkout. So this is the complete workflow of someone who wants to buy something on our website.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
For our homework, it's supposed to look like this, our finished product, or does it look like the
Yes.
wireframe?
So for your homework, you need to map out the workflow for each one. And after you map out the workflow, then you do the sketch, because we're doing sketches. You do
Oh,
the sketch, and that's my fault because I definitely kept calling it a wireframe. You can sketch the wireframe. Let's do it like
okay.
that. Okay.
Okay.
So do the workflow. So each path is going to have the workflow, and then you're going to have a wireframe sketch for each one of these
Right.
workflows, right? So the home page, there's going to be a sketch or a wireframe that goes with this home page because I need to know what it looks like. You see what I'm saying? And then when they click on, so that when they view the product, I need to see on the wireframe, I need to see what that looks like in the sketch. If they click on comments, I need to see what that comments page looks like. Does that make sense? When they go here and they add to basket, you know how they say click on cart? I need to see a wireframe sketch. I need to see a sketch of what that view cart looks like. So both. The answer is both. So I need a user
Okay.
flow and I need a representation of what each step looks like. So this is just like I can look at this and I can see the user's flow, but I should be able to look at your sketch. I should be able to look at your wireframes and see what it looks like to the user. I should be able to see what each step looks like to the user. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Is that clear, Angie, or do you want me to?
No, it's clear. I
Okay.
just need to make sure I had the right visual of what my homework's supposed to look like when I'm done.
And so you're gonna have two documents for each view. So you're gonna have documents that represent the workflow, so look just like this, and then you're gonna have documents that represent each one of the pages that looks like the wireframe sketch.
Now I'm regretting that I made all these pages.
No, but listen, that's a strong portfolio because when you interview and someone goes, oh, I did want to, oh yeah, 4 minutes. Let me show you this, guys, really, really fast. Okay, let me try to share this really, really fast. Can you guys see this? Can you guys see this on my screen? So this is a UX designer's portfolio. This is her portfolio. So when she applies for jobs, she sends people here. And you see how it says like, hi, I research, I market products and brands, I lead products and brands. This is a UX designer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you click on view her projects, you can see all the stuff she designed for. I designed for Whisker, I designed for New Mob, I designed for, these are all her projects. For you guys, this is going to say the name of the landscaping company. It's going to say the name of, whoever else you choose, but there's going to be 3. You see what I mean? And you
Mm-hmm.
see how it's a representation of, I designed the mobile and I designed the desktop. For this one, she only designed the mobile. For this one, I designed mobile and tablet, right? So then when they click on it to see your project, see how she has view prototype? So it says consolidating and redesigning multiple pet health mobile applications into a single digital platform while increasing user adoption rates through data-driven gamification strategies. That's her answer to question number 1. You see what I'm saying? Question number 1 of your 25 questions was, what are you trying to do? What's the goal? This is what the goal was for the company that she worked for. They wanted to redesign their pet app into a single digital platform. That was the goal. That was her task as a UX designer that they gave her. And these are preview screens of what she designed. So then when you click on view her prototype, it's broken. Dang it. Let me see if I can open a live site. Okay, my view projects. If I click on this, oops. If I click on view her prototype. Oh, Lord. This ain't what I'm trying to, this is not a good example. But she does have this though, where you can see the screen she designed. So this is one screen, add a pet profile, track your cat's weight and bathroom activity. You see how she designed that? This is the design she came up with. Track your, so these are all of the paths, right? I'm saying all that to say, this is going to be how your portfolio looks at the end. So when you submit your resume, that's what you're submitting. Links to your portfolio is going to look like that. So that's why I was adamant about you guys saying choose 3 products, choose 3 businesses, because that's going to be your end product. And that's why it's very important that these questions and stuff be detailed because, yeah. Does that make sense? That's where you're headed. That's what the end picture looks like at the end of class, to answer your question, Angela.
Okay, it's nice.
Yeah, and that's it. So yeah, that's your homework assignment, and I will see you guys on Saturday. And everything is here. I already shared the link with you guys. So when you look here, when you click on that, it's going to take you to the diagram, and watch the video so that it'll show you, and read it. Read this page and watch the video, and you'll know how to do your homework.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Have a good week.
Saturday.
Thank
Have a good
you.
week.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.